At 20, Janet Jackson's son has grown into a young man shrouded in mystery, far from the spotlight that follows his famous mother. For years, Janet did everything to shield him from the public eye, keeping his life private despite her global fame. But in 2025, glimpses of his world are finally emerging, from secret passions to personal milestones Janet never wanted revealed. Prepare to uncover the hidden side of her son's life that few have ever seen. When Janet Jackson and her then-husband Wissam Al-Mana welcomed their son Eissa Al-Mana on January 3, 2017, it marked one of the most joyous and talked-about moments in the Jackson family's modern history. At the age of 50, Janet became a first-time mother, a milestone that symbolized hope, strength, and love for a woman who had already conquered nearly every facet of the entertainment industry. A representative for Jackson confirmed the news exclusively to People, sharing that Janet Jackson and husband Wissam Al-Mana are thrilled to welcome their new son, Eissa Al-Mana, into the world. Janet had a stress-free, healthy delivery and is resting comfortably. The statement was a relief to fans worldwide who had been anxiously following her pregnancy journey after she announced in 2016 that she was postponing her Unbreakable tour to plan a family. The announcement sparked an outpouring of celebration from her famous relatives. LaToya Jackson, Janet's sister, took to Twitter to express her joy, calling Eissa the greatest gift ever. Jermaine Jackson also sent warm wishes, saying he was overjoyed for his sister's new chapter in motherhood. Even Joe Jackson, the family patriarch known for his tough exterior, shared his excitement online and through his official website, posting heartfelt words about welcoming another grandchild into the Jackson legacy. For Janet, the birth of Eissa was deeply personal and transformative. Friends close to her have described how motherhood softened her outlook and brought a new sense of purpose. She immersed herself in caring for her baby, retreating from public life for much of 2017 to focus entirely on her son's well-being. "He's my everything," she later told fans during an emotional moment on tour. In April 2017, Janet Jackson gave the world its very first look at her newborn son, Eissa Al-Mana, in a moment that melted hearts everywhere. The tender photo, shared on her social media accounts, came just weeks after reports confirmed that she and her husband, Wissam Al-Mana, had quietly separated. Despite the personal changes in her life, Janet's post radiated pure love and peace, the unmistakable joy of a new mother completely captivated by her child. The picture showed baby Eissa at 14 weeks old, nestled closely in his mother's arms. He was captured mid-yawn, tiny and serene, as Janet pressed a gentle kiss against his forehead. The singer wore no extravagant makeup or elaborate outfit. Instead, the image was intimate, simple, and deeply human, a quiet moment between mother and son. She captioned the photo, "My baby and me, after nap time." Those 7 words perfectly reflected her newfound focus on motherhood and her devotion to nurturing her little boy away from the spotlight. Fans around the world were moved by the image, praising Janet for her vulnerability and grace. It was a rare glimpse into her private world, as the pop icon had always been fiercely protective of her personal life. The picture instantly became one of the most shared and discussed posts of her career, reminding people that behind the global superstar was a woman experiencing the same powerful emotions and sleepless nights as any new parent. The timing of the photo was especially poignant. Janet and Wissam Al-Mana had reportedly decided to part ways just a few days before. Though the separation made headlines, Janet's photo seemed to transcend the noise, a statement that her energy was now centered entirely on her son. Insiders described her as completely focused on Eissa, emphasizing that motherhood had grounded her more than ever. While Janet Jackson grew up surrounded by the bright lights of Los Angeles and the musical legacy of Gary, Indiana, her son, Eissa Al-Mana, is experiencing a very different kind of upbringing, one rooted in privacy, stability, and European charm. The pop icon is now co-parenting her son in London with her ex-husband, Wissam Almana, ensuring that Eissa's childhood remains as grounded and normal as possible despite his famous lineage. Janet's own upbringing was shaped by the whirlwind of fame. As the youngest of the Jackson dynasty, she was exposed early to the entertainment world, performing on stage and television before most children had even started school. Her life was a blur of rehearsals, tours, and recording studios, offering little room for the quiet rhythms of a typical childhood. Now, as a mother, Janet seems intent on giving Eissa something very different, a peaceful and private environment where he can grow away from the constant glare of cameras. Living in London provides exactly that. The city has long been known as a haven for celebrities seeking normalcy, a place where famous figures can blend into the cosmopolitan crowd. Janet has been spotted occasionally in public, often dressed casually, taking Eissa for walks or school drop-offs. These rare glimpses show a mother who cherishes everyday moments, from visiting local parks to spending afternoons exploring museums and bookstores. Although Janet and Wissam parted ways shortly after Eissa's birth in 2017, both parents are said to maintain a respectful and supportive relationship focused entirely on their son's well-being. Wissam, a Qatari businessman based in London, remains closely involved in Eissa's life, and the pair reportedly work together to provide him with a balanced upbringing that honors both of their cultures and faiths. Friends close to Janet describe her as a hands-on mother who prioritizes Eissa's emotional and educational growth. She has spoken about how motherhood transformed her, giving her a new sense of patience and clarity. "Everything I do now is for him," she once said. It seems that Eissa Almana is already carrying the torch of one of music's most legendary families. Even at just a few years old, Janet revealed that her little boy has a natural sense of rhythm and melody, traits that run deep in the Jackson bloodline. During a February 2020 appearance on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, Janet proudly opened up about her son's growing fascination with music. Laughing as she described his early enthusiasm, she told Fallon that her toddler was already showing signs of being incredibly musical. It was a rare and touching moment where the notoriously private star let the public glimpse into her life as a mother, one filled with joy, playfulness, and plenty of beats. Janet shared that Questlove, the celebrated drummer and frontman of The Roots, the house band on Fallon's show, had given young Eissa his very first drum kit. "He loves it," Janet said with a smile. "He plays all the time." The audience erupted in delight at the idea of the little boy, only 3 years old at the time, banging on his drum set just like his famous uncles once did. When Fallon, clearly charmed by the story, joked that he would gift Eissa a harmonica next, Janet laughed and quickly replied, "He has that already." Her response revealed just how musically curious her son was, exploring different instruments even before preschool. "He's incredibly musical," she added proudly, her voice filled with the unmistakable pride of a mother watching her child discover his passion. During her delightful 2020 appearance on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, Janet Jackson shared an intimate and charming story about her young son, Eissa Almana, revealing that at just 2 years old, he was already showing remarkable curiosity about musical instruments and a strong sense of what he liked. What began as an interest in the violin quickly turned into a fascination with a larger string instrument, the cello. Janet laughed as she recalled the moment Eissa first insisted on taking his violin to school. "He loves classical music," she told Fallon proudly. "First day of school, he took the violin to school. Third day of school, he says, 'Mama, I want to take a cello to school.'" She remembered gently reminding him, "Baby, you don't have a cello." But Eissa, even at such a young age, wasn't ready to give up. He looked at her with determination and said, "I'll take one, but turn my violin into a cello, please, Mama." That was when Janet's longtime assistant, Terry, stepped in with some creative problem-solving. "We were rushing for his class," Janet explained, and she took a straw and taped it to the bottom of the violin. The clever improvisation transformed the little boy's violin into a cello, at least in his eyes. Eissa was thrilled. "He loved it," Janet said fondly. "He was posing." He took it to school. But the story didn't end there. As Janet later found out, her resourceful toddler had already taken matters into his own hands. He told Shanti, Janet's second assistant, that his mother would be buying him a real cello soon. Laughing at his confidence, Janet told Fallon, "So he has a cello." "He takes cello lessons. He loves his cello lessons." Even before his second birthday, Eissa Almana was already showing signs that he had inherited the family's famous rhythm. In a May 2018 interview with Billboard, just before Janet was honored with the prestigious Billboard Icon Award, the proud mother revealed that her baby boy had already developed a strong musical preference. And his first favorite artist? None other than Bruno Mars. Janet smiled as she recounted the story, explaining that it all began when Eissa was just a few months old. "Bruno was really the first music my son responded to," she said. "It was a fitting connection. Bruno Mars's infectious energy, smooth grooves, and timeless funk echoed the kind of music Janet and her brothers had once dominated the charts with. For Eissa, it was love at first beat. The revelation came with a tender backstory. During and after her pregnancy, Janet said she often found comfort in Brazilian jazz, a genre known for its soft rhythms and soothing melodies. "It's music that always relaxes me," she explained. Those peaceful sounds filled her home as she adjusted to motherhood, offering calm and serenity during long nights and early mornings with her newborn. But when baby Eissa started to crawl, everything changed. Around the same time, Bruno Mars was exploding into global superstardom with hits like 24K Magic and That's What I Like dominating the airwaves. When the baby began crawling, Bruno was breaking out big and on the radio all the time, Janet recalled. That delighted both of us. She described how Eissa would light up whenever Bruno's songs played, clapping, bobbing, and swaying in rhythm, unmistakable signs of the Jackson musical DNA at work. For Janet, it was both joyful and nostalgic. Seeing her son respond to music with such natural enthusiasm reminded her of her own childhood surrounded by melody and movement. Even before his 5th birthday, Eissa Almana was already showing signs that the Jackson family's musical legacy runs deep within him. In a heartwarming 2019 interview on the Australian radio show Carrie and Tommy, Janet described her young son as incredibly musical, revealing that he not only loves instruments but also mimics the signature moves of his late uncle, Michael Jackson. Janet's pride was unmistakable as she talked about Eissa's natural affinity for music. "He's a fan of watching my band perform," she said, smiling as she listed his favorite instruments: the drums, violin, guitar, piano. It seemed that every time music played in the house, Eissa couldn't resist joining in. Janet explained that he makes up melodies, he carries a tune, he has really good pitch. Those are rare gifts for a child his age, especially one growing up surrounded by the echoes of a family whose name is synonymous with musical excellence. What delighted fans the most, though, was hearing how Eissa had begun imitating the king of pop himself. "He does this thing that my brother did from They Don't Care About Us, the march and the hand," Janet revealed, referencing one of Michael Jackson's most powerful performances. With a mix of awe and amusement, she added, "He does a few things. He does the head movement. He loves Smooth Criminal and the ooh." Janet's description painted a touching picture. A little boy who never met his legendary uncle yet instinctively channels his energy and rhythm. When Eissa imitates Michael's moves, it's more than play. It's a subtle continuation of the family's creative spirit, the same spark that fueled generations of Jackson performers. Still, Janet made it clear that she has no expectations or pressure for Eissa to follow in her or Michael's footsteps. It's really about what he wants to do with his life, she said. If it's music, that's beautiful. But if it's something else, that's just as wonderful. Her words reflected a mother's unconditional love, supportive, patient, and free of the burdens of legacy. You might forget this. Not long after Janet Jackson welcomed her son, Eissa Al-Mana, she shared one of her first public mom moments. A joyful Disneyland playdate with fellow superstar Ciara and their children. The outing, which took place when Eissa was still an infant, offered fans a rare glimpse into Janet's life as a new mother, surrounded by laughter, friendship, and family fun. The two singers, who have long admired each other's work and shared a mutual respect within the music industry, decided to spend a carefree day at the happiest place on earth. Ciara brought along her eldest child, Future Zahir, whom she shares with rapper Future, while Janet carried baby Eissa in her arms. Both women, usually seen on stage dazzling millions, looked relaxed and radiant as they strolled through the park, embracing their roles as moms first and celebrities second. James Collins, a former backup dancer who had performed with Janet on tour, captured a candid and heartwarming moment from the outing. He posted a photo to his Instagram story showing both Janet and Ciara holding their sons, a snapshot that perfectly encapsulated the joy of motherhood and the bond between two women balancing fame and family life. The image quickly circulated among fans, who were thrilled to see the two iconic performers sharing such an intimate, down-to-earth moment. Later, Ciara herself shared more glimpses from the day on social media. She posted a smiling selfie of her and Janet, both glowing with happiness, alongside a video of her and young Future enjoying a thrilling roller coaster ride. "So much fun today," Ciara captioned the clips, tagging Janet and adding several heart emojis. The posts radiated warmth and camaraderie, a celebration not just of friendship, but of two mothers finding joy in simple, shared experiences. Like many children his age, Eissa Al-Mana has a soft spot for one of the world's most beloved kids' shows, Paw Patrol. The animated Nickelodeon series, centered around a team of heroic rescue pups, captured his imagination early on, becoming one of his absolute favorites. In December 2019, Janet gave fans a rare and heartwarming glimpse into her son's world when she shared an Instagram post celebrating his love for the show, and the generous surprise that came with it. In her post, Janet revealed that Paw Patrol had sent a special delivery of stuffed animals, not just for Eissa, but for all of his classmates. The photo showed a group of happy children gathered together, proudly holding their Paw Patrol plush toys in the air with bright smiles and excitement radiating from their faces. The image perfectly captured the pure joy of childhood, a small act of kindness that created a big, memorable moment for a room full of little ones. Janet's caption expressed her gratitude and delight. "Thank you at Paw Patrol for sending such amazing presents to my baby and giving gifts for all of his classmates," she wrote, adding, "They love them so much." It was a sweet, genuine message that showed how deeply she appreciated the thoughtful gesture. Not only for her son, but for the entire group of children who shared in the experience. We all know that Janet Jackson has long been known for her fierce independence, discipline, and work ethic, traits that have also defined her journey into motherhood. Since the birth of her son, Eissa Al-Mana, Jackson has taken a deeply personal approach to raising him, often sharing glimpses of her new life away from the spotlight. In several candid interviews, she made it clear that she is a hands-on mother who values being fully present in her son's life. Speaking to the Daily Telegraph's Stellar magazine in August 2019, she admitted, "It is hard being a working mother. I don't have a nanny. I do it all myself." Though she relies on help only when necessary, Jackson emphasized that parenting Eissa is a role she refuses to delegate. "Of course, when I'm working, someone watches him, but it's my baby and me," she said. Her commitment to raising her child without full-time assistance was not only a personal choice, but one rooted in family tradition. During an appearance on Carrie and Tommy in November 2019, Jackson explained that she drew inspiration from her own mother, Katherine Jackson, who raised 9 children largely on her own. "My mother did it." Her mother did it. "Why can't I?" Janet said proudly. "We'll see. I'm sure I will need someone in the future, some help here and there, but I don't have anyone right now, and I love it." Her words reflected both her deep admiration for the strong women who came before her and her determination to follow their example, even with the demands of a global career. However, Jackson has been candid about the exhaustion that comes with single-handedly managing motherhood. "It's very tiring," she admitted. "You never get enough sleep, never get enough sleep." She laughed as she described her son's early morning routine. "He always wakes me up, Mama." "Mama, get up. Mama, get up, please. Mama, get up." Despite the fatigue, her tone revealed tenderness and affection, showcasing how much joy she finds in these everyday moments. Motherhood, Jackson said, has transformed her sense of patience and perspective. "I've always been a patient person, but there's more patience that you have to have in motherhood. And I never knew I was as patient as I really am." More than anything, it has reordered her priorities completely. "He's first and foremost in my life. I get up, I go to sleep. Everything is about him. He comes first in my life." For Janet Jackson, fame and fortune have always come second to family. In embracing motherhood on her own terms, she has found not only strength and peace, but a renewed sense of purpose, one built around the unconditional love between a mother and her child. What do you think about Janet Jackson's son? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.